Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties and my application on this piece of shit phone crashed. So, anywho, so today I'm just here talking about what we've got going on. Won't be on for very long. That's my pad holder and Coach Randy in the back, pacing back and forth there. You'll see him actually here coming up on my next fight. Can't see you now, man. So, anyway, so sorry about that. We just had a crash on one of my applications here. So I'm just opening this board right now for viewers to kind of say hello, leave some comments, anything they want to talk about. It's fine with me. But anyway, this camp's been going really, really well. I've been training very hard for this. For those of you that are just tuning in who aren't aware, I'm actually going to be facing Megan Anderson. She's a kickboxer that comes from the Gold Coast of Australia. She's been out here in America, out in Kansas City, training with the Glory Gym. She's a tough fighter, great up-and-comer. Really looking forward to this fight. She and I got to talk and meet each other at the last Costa Mesa event. So I'm looking forward to fighting. I think this is going to be a really good fight for the both of us. So we're just been turning up the heat these last couple of weeks. And I just got done with practice actually just now, so pardon if I'm out of breath and a little flustered right now, just getting done with all this. So, just one second. But yeah, so things have been going really well for this camp. There's not too much I want to talk about and reveal about what I've got going on, but just keeping things well rounded. My weight's right on point. Everything's been fantastic, so I'm actually sitting really fine. My weight, I checked it this morning, I was at 152, so easy weight cut. And I think that's actually kind of one thing that is good about me is I don't let myself get too high back up in my weight, so that it makes it hard for me to cut. So that way I'm always on point, I'm always on weight. It's going to be another easy cut. Just a lot of things have been staying busy in my life. My partner and I actually just got opened a deal for a house. We just got approved for a fight. For a house, and I'm really excited about that. It's our first home that we're buying, so that's been kind of in the making, and a lot of good news and happy things going on my side. My fight is May 7th. So for my viewer here who's asking when my fight is, it's May 7th. It's going to be in Costa Mesa, California. If you're unaware, you are able to watch it. You can watch it on IFC17.com. We have a TV deal with Fight Pass that gives us the ability to watch the fight. Actually, it's a big archive of MMA. I love it. I go and watch it quite often because they have everything: Pride, Elite XC, every Invicta from 1 up to where we are now. And you can watch it all live. So if you haven't checked out UFC Fight Pass yet, I'd go check it out. You can actually get like a 5-day free trial just to give it a go. But it's not that expensive. It's like $9.99 a month. So I would continue with it. You get like little extras, like knockout of the you get like knockout awards and different things that they've put together, different shows that are different pieces that they've had in there. Like top submissions and everything from like UFC 1 all the way up. You can get the prelim fights for UFC before the pay-per-views. It's really worth your money, I think. In the end, I definitely have an account with it, and I go back and watch all the Invictas, watch old Elite XC fights and Pride, and even some Strikeforce fights. So it's really interesting to see. Yeah, no, thank you, Jay. I was really actually bummed about the cancellation too. I had a feeling that India was having a bad weight cut for that event, because when we saw her at the media stuff, when we do our pictures and we do our interviews and so forth, she was really dry around the mouth. We could tell that she was sucking weight hard. So I mean, as hard as she tried to be at weight, it just wasn't doing her any good. So I can understand why the commission ended up pulling the fight. She didn't back out. She didn't quit. She didn't give up. She tried her hardest, and the morning of weigh-in, she just was in very, very bad shape. So the commission, just for her safety and her health, and Shannon Knapp made the final decision to pull the fight and had to cancel it. So I think that's one big thing that I like to touch on as well, is the importance of keeping yourself healthy and keeping yourself in proper shape and always ready for a fight, because we're pros. You never know when you're going to get that call to come in and take a fight overnight. You know, that's the beauty of Invicta, is that we do have the ability to fight outside of our contract. So as long as they approve the event and the person you're going up against, you can take a fight. So that's one reason why I try to stay in the gym all the time and always be competing and doing something like jiu-jitsu tournaments and so forth, and be at weight and be ready to go, because you never know when someone's going to call you with 3 weeks of notice and ask if you could fill in because someone had a fallout. So it's easy for me to get down in weight. I think I was just saying before my application crashed, just when I started a second ago, that my weight right now is at 152. It's just simple, and as the next couple weeks go by, it's just going to keep coming down gradually, and that cut's going to be nothing. I got plenty of energy to spare. I'm not wore out. I'm not tired. I feel good. I'm excited for this fight. So that last cancellation was a big disappointment, but looking forward to this next one and to kind of move forward with things and be able to take this next event. I know Megan Anderson has got quite a face coming out right now. She's been building herself through, and people have definitely got their eyes on her. So I think I'm going to kind of take the opportunity to indulge in that and to take my spotlight back, I guess you could say. You know, it's one way or another. There's always got to be a winner. There's a loser. There's the top dog, and there's this and that. So I'm pushing to really take my limelight back from at this point in time. What's coming next after that, I really don't know for sure. Really can't say. I know Cyborg plans to go off to the UFC and take her career in that direction. For me, that was a little bit of a disappointing piece of news, because I hope that there will be that moment where I can fight her for that belt. You know, I've always said in my interviews that I proceed that goal with a lot of caution, because I don't want to jump into that fight and get the living hell beat out of me. You know, I've seen these girls that, I'm sorry, but they've been jumping into these fights with Cyborg, and they're just like, yeah, I can take that belt. And I'm like, no, you can't. I'm sorry, but that's insane. So, my goal is to be able to groom myself for that fight. So I was disappointed to find out that she ended up going to the UFC, and I hope, maybe at some point she will come back. I don't know if she's going to vacate that belt or if she's going to still be holding it as the champion. So we'll see what happens with that. But, I would much rather fight for that belt and take it from Cyborg rather than have it be Vega and try to take it from one of these other girls, because I still see Cyborg as the person sitting on top of that mountain. She's the top 145er out there. She's one of the strongest females that we have in MMA today, and she's always been just such a destroyer, regardless of past history and things that she's been through. I have a lot of intense respect for her, because she was before any one of us, and she was fighting when they were only giving female pros 3-minute rounds instead of 5. So that's history that, without that, we wouldn't have a door open to the rest of us. Just got to read here from what my viewers are saying. Thank you, Miss Webb. I really appreciate that. I always look forward to putting on a good show and making my fans happy with my performance. And thank you. I feel like I have come a long way. Even from my first pro fight to the time I was an amateur and on up, I've been working hard. It's been a struggle. Being pro is not easy. It's definitely been a huge lifestyle change and a demanding situation. But I've done everything that I can to keep myself above water and be fighting hard for all of that. And I enjoy my life. I love every bit of this. I still, have a 9-to-5 job that I work. I just recently actually stepped away from a job that I was working out here in the Silverton area. I was welding for a while. I love welding. That's another thing that I like to do. Is I'm a welder. I like to throw steel, so that's been fun for me. But they let me step away from there for a little while because this fight is very important to me. This could be a life-changing fight. And this kind of goes off of what you're asking, Jay, about a rematch of Charmaine Tweed if she wins against Latoya Walker. I could see that being, the next step there. That actually is going to be an interesting fight. That's a very big clash in styles there with kickboxers compared to a regular boxer, and Latoya's got some savage hands, you know, so I like Latoya, actually. My fight with Faithful Undoing back last year in April, she and I were cutting weight together in the sauna, and I was helping her out. She was kind of stressing about it, you know, it's her time in Invicta at this point, and she's just like, oh, I don't know, and, you know, I was just like, just relax, you're making weight, you're doing fine, you know, so I was trying to help her out with it, and we bonded, we had a lot of fun, you know, just sitting there talking and getting along, so, I told her, I was like, you realize one day we're going to fight? And she's like, yeah, I know, but she's like, you ever find yourself in Texas, come train with me? I'm like, absolutely, so, you know, that's what I love about Invicta, is the camaraderie that you seem to develop with all the females there, and I definitely will take that rematch with Charmaine Tweedy once it comes my way. That's something that I really feel that I need to, the word I'm looking for, I know, that's a rematch that I need to just kind of build myself, to help what I feel inside as far as that. There's a lot of guilt that I kind of have still from that fight, that I just rolled over and I gave up instead of fighting my way out of that entire fight. I let myself get too frustrated, so our rematch is definitely due for fighting with her. So the floor is open for anybody who has any kind of questions or any comments that they want to make. Again, like I said, camp's going really good. My weight's on point. Been training real hard. Just finished up my freestyle Friday here for the day, and with my strength and conditioning, my pad work, and just I've got such a great team. Hi, Fallon. Great to hear from you. That's very, very true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're girls or if it's just because we have such, you know, very little amounts of stress, but Invicta really takes care of us. They treat us like superstars. I couldn't ask to be anywhere better. I feel like sometimes when you look at these UFC fighters that, you know, that go into the mix, it's almost like you have to beg for a fight. You know, these people are digging it. These fighters, men and women, are digging at their careers, like begging for them to get something, and it's just like a marionette game. So I appreciate Invicta immensely. Shannon Knapp is very much a businesswoman. She doesn't bullshit with people, you know, whereas, you know, she makes it very clear in her contracts, you know, obviously if you get popped doing anything you're not supposed to be doing as far as performance enhancers and other illegal drugs, it doesn't matter who you are, they're going to punish you to the fullest degree, where, you know, one person smokes marijuana, they get suspended for 5 years, and then another person snorts coke, and it seems like, you know, they get a little pat on the back and say, go ahead, you're okay. But it just makes me so grateful for the purity that we have in Invicta. Everybody is taken care of. We're treated very well. We're in the highest base of professionalism is expected out of us. So I'm definitely in a good place right now. And I've actually been looking at a lot of opportunities to come with Bellator, and what may come of that, because they seem to be cashing in on the featherweights, and, you know, people seem to be relatively happy with them. But that's another one where it's like, when you fight is when you fight. Thank you. My walkout, I don't know where that came from. It just ignites. I love it, and I've noticed, you know, I get kind of mixed responses about it. There's people who love it. There's people who have no idea, like, why. They don't get it. They don't like it. They think I'm this. They think I'm that. I don't care what people say about me, what they think about me, and how they feel about how I fight, how I compose myself, how I carry myself, how I walk out and yell and scream and hit the floor. Doesn't matter to me. What matters is the fans, and what matters is the people that are there supporting me and sticking around the most. So, you know, they appreciate it. They love it. Actually, I have a friend back in Florida whose daughter, she mimics it all the time. She just got one of my T-shirts sent to her for her birthday present, and he sent me back a picture of her. Just you know, it was so cool. I thought it was hilarious. So she idolizes me to the fullest degree. And so that's what matters to me most. I think is just the kids, you know, having that influence on them, and being, you know, the basis of a role model. I don't expect them to be like me, or, you know, carry themselves like me, or have my opinion, but to understand that, you know, you can be strong, you can be an athlete, and you make a good life for yourself, and work hard for something. That's just the main thing. You know, kids are our future, and they need good influences, because it seems like what we have out there as role models are anything short of that particular term. So for me, kids, kids and the influence of that is very important. My partner, my fiance, she's got three kids that look up to me immensely. The littlest one, he's 3 years old, and he actually, like he when I put on my fight shorts, he looks at them, and the only word he knows is punch. So he knows I'm going to the gym when I put my fight shorts on. So that's always kind of cute. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you for that. That means a lot to me. I you know I love to I aim to please really. I'm glad that you like watching me fight. I really appreciate that immensely. You know I reach out to all my fans, and I've got my team Lady Killer. You guys are my legion. You guys are my my focal point, and I love my fans. I love the people that gather around me, that come to talk to me, and whether they want. I'll sign every autograph. I'll take every picture. I'm not the type to walk away and be like, get out of my face. Just unless someone's being extremely obnoxious, of course. Nobody wants that wants that type of pressure. But fans are what matter. Kids are what matter. I'll take every picture. I'll sign every autograph. I don't have any shirts available at the moment, so I apologize for that. They were only available for a short time because I used this website called thebonfirefunds.com to make the shirts, because I really didn't have time to make them and send them myself. The website was okay, but they only made everything. They only made it temporary for a couple of weeks, so there's no shirts right now. I'm actually hoping to get a stack of shirts made to take to the fight to maybe sell or hand out, toss in the crowd, whatever, it depends on what I can get made. But there will be shirts in the future, and it'll be really easy for you to be able to pick those up. So I actually have two logos, and I'm gonna make a men's shirt. I'm gonna make a girl's shirt because there's, they kind of have that appeal to them. So I have something kind of different there for them. Thank you, Mark. Yes, I do. I am. It's taken a lot of time actually for me to get that dedication and to receive that discipline. It's a very as much as we do this physically, it definitely requires a lot of mental strength, and I've had to build that over time. And I'm sure any fighter, any person can say that they've looked at the fact that this is such a difficult life, and there's been times that I've wanted to give up, within the 3 years that I've been pro, and even as an amateur, I just was like, why am I doing this, but then when you leave it behind, it leaves this hole, it seems to leave this gaping feeling inside that's just, you can only fill it with this sport, and being in the gym and having a team, so it's hard for me to walk away from that because I enjoy it so much. So I just, the dedication, the discipline has come just with growing over time, and I think that's also what makes you a better fighter, is taking it seriously and wanting it that bad, and understanding that this is a career. This isn't just a pastime. This is more than a hobby. It becomes life. I've had a few people say that they want to see me still fight Gomes. So yeah, we'll see. I was actually asked on the podcast during like one of the podcast interviews after the last Costa Mesa fight. Excuse me for a second. I just got out of practice. I'm like super overheated. But anyway, I've had other people, say that they still want to see me fight Gomes, and I had TJ DeSance ask me, if you were offered that fight with Gomes, would you take it? And I'm kind of back and forth on that because, again, this goes back to my, what I said a minute ago about professionalism, constantly being ready to fight, constantly being ready to go. And it still boggles my mind that somebody can go from being 135, doing 100 fight at 135 and making like 134, and she made weight be lower than that, to not even being able to catch 145. So I don't know, she must have been having a lot going on in herself that kept her from being able to make weight. But overall, it would be a real hard thing for me to be willing to sign on that dotted line to fight Gomes again if she wasn't able to make weight this time and take it seriously. I can't imagine, I'd have to trust that she could do it again. So I guess before I'd even agree to possibly fight her again, I would want to see that she's gonna make weight and take it seriously again. I understand this is a very difficult career we have, a difficult life that we face, and things come and go, and it makes it hard. But you know, I actually remember. It's funny that you say that about my fight in Kentucky in 2012 when I fought Jessamine Duke. Thank you. Thank you. Is it Sindel? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Or Kindle? Yeah. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So I apologize if I'm not. But thank you. Yeah. I was getting into that. I was just about to talk about how when I fought in Kentucky for that belt against Jessamine Duke as an amateur, I was having major car troubles, and I lived on some desolate road in kind of the middle of nowhere. My car had some problems with the one of the wheel bars, so I couldn't take the thing over like 30 miles an hour without the wheel shaking really, really, really bad. Sindel, got it. Thank you. Sindel. All right, I'll remember that. Apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I couldn't quite figure that out. But anyway, yeah, back when I was getting ready for that fight again, I was having some major car issues, and my gym was about 45 minutes away from where I lived, and it was I had to take a highway to get there, so I couldn't get to my normal gym. I had to go to a different team in town and just take a boxing class, just to stay in shape and get ready for that. But I found any way that I could to train. Being out on that farm road that I lived on was, you know, a straight shot with a lot of up and down, so I actually spent a lot of time running and getting ready for that fight. And then actually at the end of that road was the plaza where my jiu-jitsu school, Lotus Club Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is at. So if I couldn't take my car over there, I'd hop on my mountain bike in the middle of winter in the cold and ride my bike to jiu-jitsu. And then I would take my car very slowly to that boxing class. So I mean, I don't know, I guess mostly I feel that, you know, even if you want it bad enough, if you're working hard enough, if you want something bad enough, you're going to find a way to get it. You know, I understand everybody has jobs, we all work, we all, you know, have something that holds us back, but if you let those situations hold you back, that's your fault. So whatever excuses you may have, there's just excuses. You know, the beauty of this country is that there's always a way around something. There's always something else you can do. So even though I couldn't make it to my normal gym when I was getting ready for that fight, I was still able to run this road, ride my bike to jiu-jitsu. It was a pain in the ass getting there, and I wasn't able to do it all the time, but for most of that camp, but I still did it. And then I found a local boxing gym just to go in there and at least get something in, so that even though it wasn't, you know, it wasn't completely, you know, it wasn't my complete training with my normal coaches and my normal team, I still found a way to train, and I wanted it so bad. You know, even in the morning I was doing yoga, and I was getting myself prepped, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually. And when I went into that, and even going out to that show, actually, to fight at the Absolute Action event that you were just talking about, so no, I went out by myself because I was an amateur. They wouldn't fly in my cornerman out. I told them I can't bring anybody with me, so they were like, well, okay, well, we'll have somebody for you. And I met the man who was going to be in my corner that night, and he actually ended up being a very good cornerman. I had no idea who he was, and he didn't know me, and he didn't know anything about my fight style, but he was a good enough coach to be able to direct me through that fight. And, you know, I wanted it bad enough that by sheer grit, I had an answer for everything that she threw at me, and I took that belt. So that was my crowning moment during my amateur careers. I was just coming off of my first loss, but again, you know, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that no matter what, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to do it. If you want to take a fight and win a fight bad enough, even if you're having car troubles or if you can't get to where you need to go, there's always a way. There's always something you can do. There's always some rugged form of training you can do. If you've got tires or logs or sledgehammers at your house or anything, there's always a way. Yes, you need bodies, and yes, you need people to spar with, but there's always a way. So that's a good question, actually. I love my ground and pound. I know that's what I'm known for. Getting on top of somebody and just pounding their head into the dirt until the ref pulls me off is my pinnacle, because you know, I'm such a powerhouse. So obviously that's what I've been known for, is, you know, smashing people down into the dirt and just that sheer beatdown. but I've I've seen people who can take that beating and just get right back up, and still fight back. So I think, obviously my specialty is ground and pound, but I think a submission is a really legitimate win. My buddy told me a quote one time: "A man asked a boxer, why do you box? Why do you use your hands? Why do you box?" And he's like, "'Cause I like to knock fools out." And then he asked the jiu-jitsu specialist, "Why do you do jiu-jitsu?" And he said, "Because I like to break a man's will." So I think that's the beauty of a submission, is that you literally make them give up. They have to admit defeat. So I think that is the most legitimate way to secure a win, is through a submission, because somebody has to basically say, "Okay, you got me. I'm done. I give up. You're right." So yeah, the ability to break a person's will, that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, is you do everything to just grind them in. And I think if I wasn't a pro fighter, then jiu-jitsu would be my high point. That would be something I would do. If I didn't fight professionally, I would just be a jiu-jitsu competitor the rest of my life. I would live in that gi. That's what I love about jiu-jitsu, is you can take it into life. You can go up until you're 60, 70 years old and still keep on doing jiu-jitsu, because it's low impact. It's very healthy for an individual. It's a great sport. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. There is a certain fire that kind of ignites in me when I come out and I fight. There's a certain side of me that, I don't know, I kind of got introduced to as I became a fighter, and as I started introducing myself. And even as a kid, I always had this aggression. And my mom didn't really know how to exactly put that into something. I lived a very different life growing up, so I didn't get to pick up martial arts or athletics until I was a teenager in high school, and kind of, doing my own thing. And I started wrestling in high school, but something about it it feels right. It feels like this was the path, this was the life that I was meant for, and that, the powers that be and the gods above pushed me in this direction and opened this path for me. So, I think there's something very different about me as a fighter and as a martial artist and as an individual, and spiritually, that comes out of me. That only comes out when I'm in that fight mode and I'm in that mentality. I think in my toughest fight moving forward to challenge me at this point, maybe mentally would I think mentally and physically would be kind of a different thing. Thanks, Justin. Absolutely, man. Traditional martial arts all day. But to answer your question, Adam, I think my toughest fight moving forward mentally would be probably taking that rematch with Charmaine Tweet, because there's a lot of things, a lot of dynamics that I kind of haven't revealed about why I lost that fight, and how, I kind of had to go back and watch that, because a lot of people were like, you were winning that fight, and in my head, in that cage, I wasn't, and I got very, very frustrated. And something about the atmosphere of where I was at when I fought her just broke me completely. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I rolled over and let her take that choke. I just gave up, and I would have never lived it down. I went back home. Excuse me. I went back home, actually, and talked to some of my teammates, and I was like, I don't know why I did that. I just gave up. Like, I go back and I look at it, and people told me I was winning that fight. I really don't feel like I was, but I didn't want to go to that second round. So something clouded my mind within that situation, and I had a couple of my wrestler teammates tell me, they're like, I've done that before in a match where I didn't want to wrestle, I didn't want to be on those mats anymore, so I just let my shoulders go to the floor and I gave up. I guess it happens to the best of us, where sometimes we just break and we get mad at ourselves and we roll over and we sit and we're not giving like the best performance, and we're not doing what it is that we expected ourselves to be doing, so we just kind of say fuck it. So excuse my language, but I think we kind of just end up giving up in a lot of ways. For me, I think that's going to be a tough one for me to come back and redeem, because I kind of know how Charmaine Tweet is. She does a lot of this. She always kind of seems to talk shit to everybody when to hype up the fight and do what she's got to do. But on the outside, she's very nice. When we like after the fight, when it was all said and done, actually her husband and manager Court Crowthers called up my manager and said, hey, we're across the street, at the after party, we want you to come hang out. So I actually hung out with her and and her husband after the fight, and we all went to Denny's and had dinner after that fight. So I just, I don't know where my head went for that situation. I have had a lot going on in my life when it came to when it came down to it, and I just had a bad weight cut. I wasn't ready, so I mean, I think coming back and getting the victory for that fight is going to be just tough for me because I remember what I did, and I still have a lot of guilt toward it. So it's having to overcome that guilt that is going to be really tough for me. Physically and mentally, also, I think that most challenging individual that is going to be me to face would be Cyborg if she in fact does come back to Invicta for any reason at all. Whether it's to keep defending that belt if she in fact does keep it, or not if but when I get it, she might have to come back and fight me for it. So I think that's going to be definitely very challenging to see where that leads me, what comes after that. I really feel like, I just really feel like that's gonna be just an absolute tester for me right there because she is such a destroyer. But anybody can be beaten, anybody can lose in a fight. People look at me as kind of that potential individual who could beat her, and they've kind of been looking in my direction and pointing the finger at me, so that's a lot of pressure, to, I think, kind of put it in my own head, like, am I good enough to do that? Can I do that? So that's going to be tough for me to be able to surpass and be able to get myself and my heart into that fight and be willing to, take that challenge, because it's not going to be easy. That's going to be an absolute war between two people who will not go down easy. So I think that's definitely going to be one. And good to see that, my manager Jason. Thank you for tuning in and giving your comment. You've been really good to me since the very beginning, helping me get to where I am now, and helping me make my career into what it is. So thank you. I'm glad that you see me as a natural athlete, because I didn't start becoming an athlete until probably junior year of high school when I started wrestling, and so I started picking up martial arts, so, and to you, Justin, thank you. Yes, I do consider myself a martial artist. I am very traditional. Anywhere I go, I bow before I get on the mats or before I get in the cage. It's a sense of respect. It's a battleground. There's people who go throughout history and have been in real battles and lost their lives, and it's just the way of the warrior. And there's been, you look at Thailand, their country was built off of their martial art, off of Muay Thai. And to this day, it still generates their country. It generates money. It generates revenue in the pockets of everybody. It's a very different atmosphere out there. So I admire that warrior mentality and those people who, fighting is life, and it is. It's something that people have been doing for centuries, for decades. Even up to now, we fight, we conquer. We test and we push ourselves, and there's some people who are too afraid to do that. So I think as a martial artist, that's part of it, is we strive for that greatness and we strive for that perfection, even though there is no such thing as perfection. We all have our flaws, and we all have something we have to work on. But when you're wanting to better yourself in that way, that's what makes you a martial artist, is that you're always striving to do more and do better and learn more. And that's the key thing, is learning more. I think too many people stay within their comfort zone. I'm a wrestler, so I'm just going to work my wrestling, or I do this, or I do that. I consider myself a martial artist, so that means I'm willing to try anything and do anything. I've been missing some of the comments here, so I'm just catching up real quick. I think featherweight is really my home. Cutting to 135, I don't think would be smart for me. I mean, I walk around 160, 165 on a bad day, so I think featherweight is where I'm going to stay, because I've actually heard of that book, The Book of Five Rings. I have yet to read it, but I've heard of that book. I really want to pick it up. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot about that book. But featherweight is definitely my home. One, because I like our weight class. It's a strong weight class. And that's the thing, is that I think we are some of the better fighters out there, because we've bring thunder when we fight, and we either are looking for a finish or a knockout. You know, I think everybody's looking for that, but you know, to solidify that, you see that in the featherweights. We're just strong competitors. You know, we have a lot of power behind us, and it's never a boring fight. You know, that's how I feel. So I think featherweight will be my home. I don't have any ambitions to go to 135 because for my health, I don't think that would be right. I mean, they have been cracking down a lot on, you know, people cutting weight wrong and not doing what they're doing. And you see, I think even the California Commission, that's actually one reason probably why they pulled mine in India's fight, was because they've been cracking down heavy on fighters cutting weight incorrectly. I think several months, maybe longer than that, before this event, they had a fighter actually die at weigh-ins because fighters just aren't being smart about their weight cuts, and it shouldn't be a weight cut. It should be a training camp, and that's it. It should just be a training camp. For me, it's never a weight cut. It's just prepping for a fight. I let my body go back up to what it's comfortable at, you know, back to almost 160, but I never let myself go further than that. I eat clean. It's not about dieting. It's about eating clean and making proper choices. I do give myself the things that, you know, I enjoy, and allow myself to, you know, to have those foods that, you know, we are naturally already addicted to, but I don't let my body go up really high, and I don't let it drop too low. I stay where it's healthy, because as you get older, those types of things do come back to haunt you. Your thyroid gets all screwed up, you know, and it becomes harder and harder to cut weight and get low. So I mean, I can't, you know, force my body to get down to a weight that it's not okay with. I'd rather be strong and be fast and be healthy at 145 than force my body to cut to a weight that it's never seen before. I think the lightest I ever saw myself be was 142 when I was an amateur, but I was on this supplement pill that was just insane. That's another thing too, is I don't consume supplements. The way that the California Commission, you know, tests people, and the way that NSAC is, you know, pegging everybody for the littlest thing that could be a masking agent or whatever, I'd rather not risk it. So I don't even use supplements virtually ever. I eat very clean. I drink a lot of water. I'm always working out. I keep my body healthy off of natural things, and I think that's kind of being being somebody who lives in the Northwest. We're kind of spoiled out here with our organic material and what we consume and what the agriculture that we have. So again, I keep it really clean, very natural. I do handle all my nutrition. I do handle all my nutrition by myself, because I don't really need somebody to write that for me. It's not hard to find a balance. It's just, you know, the bottom line is eat raw. Eat things that come from the ground as they are. Don't eat from a package. Don't eat from a box. Don't eat anything that's pre-made and pre-cooked, because it's pumped full of salts and preservatives that keep it from going bad. So for me, it's not difficult at all to find the right balance on things. It's about the right water consumption and just, again, eating clean. So I never need a nutritionist. If I have any questions about something, I ask my coach. And I've got other friends who have some sort of a background in nutrition and personal training, and they've given me, you know, the understanding of that it's not about calorie in, calorie out. It's, you know, it's the difference between getting 120 calories from eating a handful of almonds and getting 120 calories from drinking a sip of soda. It's going to affect your body differently, extremely differently. There's actually I got that piece of information, that tidbit actually, from a documentary that I watched on Netflix called Fed Up. It talks about our food industry and basically how obesity wasn't an issue in this country until about until a little before the 80s, I believe. I could be wrong on the date, but basically obesity wasn't a problem in this country until the food industry started tackling into it, when one of our old presidents was, you know, trying to incorporate that idea of a healthy America. You know, work out, be fit, you know, and do activity to, you know, it helps with everything. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Fed Up. and it talks about how the food industry has capitalized on that and capitalized on people's insecurities and wanting to be healthy and in shape and made it into a profit. You know, people look at a package that says, you know, low fat, low calorie, and they buy it because they think that's what they need to be healthy off of. But then when you look at the sugar and the sodium intake, sodium being salt, that's where people go wrong. That type of stuff jumps your thyroid up, it jumps up your metabolism, and it releases all that cortisol that develops fat. It's not the things that you want. They show a girl, you know, a young girl she's just a teenager, and she's active. She does volleyball, she walks her dogs every day after school, she swims, like she's an active little girl, but she is overweight. And her parents are like, well, we don't understand what's going on. She does, hi Candy, she does, you know, all these activities, and we feed her this, and this, but what they show you is stuff that's out of a box that, again, says low calorie, no fat, this and that, but you flip it over, and the calorie and the sodium intake is, or the, the sugar and the sodium intake is through the roof. That's where people go wrong, is that they don't realize that that is what affects them. It's not about calorie in, calorie out. It's about the amount of garbage that is inside of our food. You have to watch those things. And they even talk about this this program that these companies were backing. These companies like Nabisco and Coca-Cola and whatever else were backing this whole, we want to take like, I forgot what the number was. They said they wanted to take like 35,000 calories or something off of our market and out of our stores. So what they did was they started developing like, you know, other foods like granola bars and stuff, like, and taking, like, they said like, oh, this is 10, 15 calories less, or this has 0 calories as compared to this one. But when you flip it over and you look at the nutrition facts, the sodium and the sugar is the same, if not more. Exactly, cornstarch. That's it. The excess crap that they put in our food. That's where people go wrong. And even one of the interviewers was saying, okay, so you released this product saying that this has got less calories in it. Did you take the other one off the market? No. So you're actually putting more calories into the market. You're not actually removing a damn thing. And that is exactly marketing tricks. That's how they get you. They're just like, we want to be a healthy American, so here's this exact same granola bar or cereal, and it's 10 calories less. Well, did you take the other one off the market? No, you didn't. So again, it's just a marketing scheme. It's just about cooking it raw. And some people think too that buying this stuff is cheaper. It's not. I buy like a raw young chicken for like $6 and get a bunch of raw vegetables and things to cook with it. And it's actually a lot cheaper, and it lasts me longer because I'll cook the whole chicken, and then once it cools off, I'll bone and take off all the meat so that it's clean, and then all I have is just a tub full of chicken, you know, and it's been baked, it's been cooked, and it's healthy. And then I'll actually take a bunch of vegetables and cut them up. Like, I'll take spinach and red leaf lettuce, some cilantro, some green onions, some raw broccoli, cucumber, tomatoes, and I'll make a salad in a bowl, a big bowl, and I'll put that in my refrigerator so that when I'm hungry, all I gotta do is open it up and stick it on my plate. That's another thing I don't eat, is the packaged salads. That shit is usually coated with wax, and it leaves a really weird texture on your tongue and in your mouth. I don't like it. So I buy the stuff that's on the shelf that's unpackaged, it's sitting there, and I take it home, I wash it really good to get rid of any dirt or pesticides. I cut it up and I make my own salad. It's fresher, it tastes better. I don't buy anything from a box or anything from a package, and that's why, like, I never see my weight go above what it is, because I don't eat out. That's the other thing, is if I do go eat out, it's just for special occasions. I don't go to restaurants and blow my money, and so that, you know, that actually helps me save. I don't live outside of my means. It keeps me healthy. So I think that's the biggest tip that I can give to people, is don't be fooled by what the package says. Don't even buy stuff that's in a package. You know, buy your own raw food and cook it. You know, and there's a lot of people out there too that are against things like hunting for your meat, for example. And I've got no problem with hunting, because you can use that entire animal. That animal has been eating food, you know, eating its food from nature. And things like venison and elk, they, you know, they're healthy because they've been moving, they're free range, there's no preservatives in them, they have leaner meat, it's healthier for you. I don't think, garbage in, garbage out, that's exactly it. Very, very good. No, I just don't yeah, I've got no problem with hunting because when you actually look into our food industry and what they do for, you know, these animals, I actually had a guy tell me he knew somebody who works for like a big company like Hormel, for example, and his job on the line is to check the cattle that come through his line for tumors in their stomachs and in their intestinal lining. And when there's too many of a certain number, there's a certain number and there's too many, he has to shut that line down. But these animals, every single one of them is going to come through with some sort of tumors in their innards because they pump them full of all these antibiotics and they're constantly getting sick and they fill them full of this crap so that they can sell the meat. But it's just mass production. All it is just absolute mass production, and it just makes all these animals sick. So I mean, we're spoiled out here in Oregon. If you want good farm-raised, grain-fed, you know, animals, it's not hard to find. We have the agriculture and the land to do it. So I've got no problem with hunting because, you know, people sit there and they're just like, oh, you're shooting an innocent animal. Have you seen the way they slaughter these animals in these houses? Are you kidding me? Like, that's what's cruel. You know, taking down one deer or one elk just to use that one animal and and working for your food, I think is a lot less cruel than going and buying some of this crap that you get in the supermarkets, because if you watch the way these slaughterhouses treat these animals and throw them around like they're nothing, that's what's cruel. So, sometimes, honestly, I've been eating clean, like, Jason, to answer, or Justin, excuse me, to answer your question about cheat day, like, I eat so clean that, and I've been doing it for so long, that the other stuff just doesn't tempt me anymore. It doesn't sound good to me, you know. It's like, there's another test that I think a health teacher did for me one time that, their professor told them to, okay, skim milk, and a lot of people don't like it. I actually don't consume dairy. That's another one I don't do, as I don't consume dairy, because in my opinion, what animal still drinks milk when it's no longer a baby, let alone from another animal that's not itself? So I don't consume dairy. I don't consume cheese. I think the only thing I really do consume that is dairy, maybe like yogurt every now and again, and then ice cream when I'm, you know, out doing whatever. But as far as cheat day, I don't know. Sometimes I'll give myself a little cheat meal, or I'll, you know, if I'm somewhere with friends and we're getting pizza, I'll eat a pizza or some burgers or whatever. I like to barbecue, so I mean that's about as close as it really gets. But I've been eating clean for so long that the other stuff just doesn't sound good to me. I look at it and it's just like, I'll pass. So it's, you know, the longer you do that and the longer you eat clean and cut the garbage out of yourself, I think the easier it is to say no to the other shit. So, as far as cheat day, rarely. I never crave it, you know. I guess if you want to put it into terms of having a cheat meal, I just eat a larger meal instead of something that's not good for you. So I just eat more of something, you know. But I'm a big steak eater too, so I like to, you know, I do like to go out and grill up steaks and stuff like that. As far as breakfast goes, candy, I actually, two of my teammates have got a bunch of chickens, so I haven't had to go to a supermarket and buy eggs in months, because they are like, you need eggs? I'm like, yeah, sure. So they, you know, they bring me cartons and cartons and cartons of eggs, and I like to eat eggs a lot for breakfast, and like a bowl of oatmeal or something like that with some peanut butter in it, and then like some flaxseed oil that I get from one of the supplement companies here that sponsors our gym. Max Muscle, actually. I like their stuff. I don't go to places like GNC or Vitamin Shop or anything like that. I like going to places like Max Muscle because they try to keep things about as natural as it's gonna get, but there's nothing more natural than just eating natural food. There you go. Yeah, beans and rice are a good complex carb. Actually, I love beans and rice. I think actually, if I was gonna say that if anything is a cheat meal for me, it's Mexican food, and that's my biggest thing. Candy, when we get to Costa Mesa, I know with Cinco de Mayo falls before weigh-ins, but I'll indulge in a few tacos with you before we go weigh in. So I think I'll be ahead enough that I can at least have at least one taco for Taco Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, eggs are a very good source of amino. Sometimes I find like when I get down to the bare minimum, getting close to fight time, I'll just do egg whites. I'll take the yolk out. I know there's a lot of cholesterol in yolks, but actually it can be good cholesterol. But Yeah, I do a lot of like nuts and anything like that. No, I've never really done much vegan, I guess. I'm too much of a meat eater. I mean, I will do like fish and chicken more than I will red meat. That's about as close to vegan as I get. I don't know. I've wanted to try it, but I've never really gone in that direction. Just something inside my head always tells me to get some meat. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to be vegan, to be at the top of the food chain. Pre-fight rituals. Oh goodness. I'm a very spiritual individual. Being out here in Oregon, we have a lot of places to escape to. So I actually I spend a lot of time kind of like as fight camp starts to get really intense. I spend a lot of time by myself. We have a state park out here called Silver Falls. I love going there because it has 9 waterfalls in it within the 7-mile loop of hiking that's out there. So I spend a lot of spiritual time within myself. I do a lot of meditation. I believe very heavily in that. That comes from the martial artist part of me and kind of what my sensei has given me throughout time. But I spend a lot of time going out to places, you know, where I can be alone and be with nature and kind of clean up and kind of get in touch with that other half of myself. Something about it is very awakening for me. So I do like to go out into the wilderness and go camp and go, you know, live rugged and, you know, cook over a fire and pitch a tent and use an axe to cut my wood, you know, that type of stuff. So there's something about that that's very, very primal for me. So I think that's kind of my pre-fight rituals, is I do things that kind of get me in touch with that more primal side that we as people, I think, abandon over time. Technology has made us very lazy, and everyone's very comfortable within, you know, their realm of what we give ourselves. So I do kind of exit out the outer world, and I go and I find things that open up that primal side of my brain. So I do things like that, go out and spend time in nature. But again, I live in an area that's just, you know, that being out here in Oregon, it's very easy to go find that. So I'd spend a lot of time just being one with the earth and one with my own spirituality and taking time to focus on myself and align myself. I focus very heavily on my chakra control. Actually, when I have more time on my next podcast, if anybody's interested in that, there's actually a meditation and something that I do for myself, that each chakra, I'll explain more what those are if you're not aware of what that is. And that actually helps build your spirituality, and you can kind of do I turn inward, basically, is what I do. I turn inward and I clean myself out inwardly before I can even, spiritually, before I can even work on the outer half of it. Newspaper class back in high school. I was just talking about that with one of my clients, actually. That's another thing. I got this client who I do personal training for him, and the guy's an anomaly. He works very hard. He came to me with a goal to try to lose 50 pounds by August because he's got a little father-daughter dance that he is getting ready to do with his daughter, and he wants to be a little bit more ready for that. The man, I weighed him in at 370 pounds, so he is, making his way through and trying to lose that weight, and he's been with me for a little less than a month, and we've got him down to 360. And it's just, and it's very easy to get him to do the little things as far as like cleaning up his diet, cleaning up his eating habit, and he's been telling me just kind of what he's been eating and consuming, and he's doing a lot more water intake. So I'm proud of the guy. He's doing very well. Like I said, in about a month he's lost about 10 pounds, and he's doing really, really well. Find your inner cave person. Exactly. You got to find that inner beast. We all have it. We just have abandoned it over time. I do believe that there is a primal side that technology and development through life that we've lost. That side of our brain that that works in the fields. But I've always been a laborer. I've always been someone to work with my hands, so I can never abandon that. It's something I love. I love going camping myself, and we will discuss it when you come out. The Northwest is definitely a place to go camping. Yeah, it's a whole new meaning of beast mode. My coach usually just throws on my coach actually just kind of throws on music. He's one to put on stuff that's a little more rhythmic, so he'll put on like Cypress Hill or like Rage Against the Machine. Just, you know, I kind of listen to stuff that's a little more aggressive. It really depends on what I'm doing. If I'm running, I want something that's just gonna make me just go balls out. So like I don't know, it really depends on my mood. I listen to hip hop. I listen to a bunch of really heavy dubstep. I listen to heavy metal. I listen to all of it, and that actually comes from, this is another piece about me that people don't know. I did modern dance when I was in high school. I can actually dance in a very lyrical way. So I appreciate all types of music. In the beginning, I was just kind of one-dimensional, and I just listened to heavy metal. But when you take a class that teaches you how to express an emotion through music, I've learned to appreciate music on a whole different level. So, I mean, it just really depends on what mood I'm in is going to influence the music that I listen to. I do choreo to Rage Against the Machine, right? I think actually just now I was using Rob Zombie's. My coach has got a Rob Zombie best of. So it's got like a bunch of his music on there and some White Zombie as well. So I was using that to hit the bag too. That was a lot of fun. I was actually I had this like cardio dubstep training radio station on my Pandora that I turned on, and sometimes I get some really cool stuff that pops up on there. There's actually one song that's I believe the DJ's name is Behemoth, and the song is called Shackles. That is such a cool song. I might use that actually one day to walk out to, because it, and that's another thing too. I like walking out to music that's just music that's got no lyrics to it. Something about that's always fascinated me. I used to use the beginning theme to the Resident Evil movies pretty much through my entire amateur years. If you ever go back and see any of that, a lot of my my walkouts were with that song. And it was just this, it's just like, if you ever seen any of the Resident Evil movies, the very first movie where he's taking the virus and he's sticking it with those claws inside of that briefcase, that song that's playing in the background, I managed to get the loop for that, and I used that as my walkout song for quite a bit, and something about that song would just put a hush over the entire crowd. So it just, you know, everybody gets all hyped up and crazy when you got a really, you know, aggressive song. But when you have a song that's just a low tone like that and it's just eerie, just the hush, the silence that came over the crowd was beautiful. You know, it was just, it's like almost like I could control that crowd simply just with that music. So my music choices are all very different. But I don't listen to as much heavy metal as I used to. I don't know why. Yeah, I picked a song for this one, but I'm not telling you. So yeah, you'll have to see. It's gonna. I'm a California girl at heart. You know, I love Oregon. It's a beautiful state, but you know, you can't take the California out of me. I love California, so there is a West Coast song that I will be using actually that I'm going to be coming out to. That's quite a bit different from what I normally use. So anyway, I went an hour instead of a half an hour. This was actually a really good turnout. I'm really happy with the amount of viewers that I had and for the conversation I can have with all of you. So thank you for tuning in. This is my first time ever going live, yeah, I actually really appreciate all of you coming in and chatting with me for this time. It's going to get better every time, so tune in again. I'm going to try to make this a consecutive thing for my fight camps. So every Friday at the end of the day, at the end of the camp week and so forth, I'll be here again. So tune in again next Friday with me around 6:30 this time. And then I'll also be here, or also be jumping on for a little bit after weigh-ins, the Friday of weigh-ins, so that way you know I can chat with people a little bit about about where we're at. Enoch went home. He's got a pregnant wife to take care of, so my coach Enoch went home. But thank you guys for coming on and watching me today. Again, I want to say thank you to Jason Ellis from Relentless Sports Management and Marketing, my manager, for, you know, we set this up and decided that this would be kind of fun for me to do, to talk to my fans. So thank you, Jason, for all the hard work you do. Tracy from Affliction, love the clothes, still sporting them strong. Really hope I get to see you again when I come down to Costa Mesa. I want to say hi to Shannon Knapp, Julie Kenzie, and Angie Linland from Invicta. Thank you for getting me this fight, for bringing me back to Costa Mesa. I'm really looking forward to fighting, and you know, again, thank you for taking care of me and jumping out to doing everything that for me to get me in this fight. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I love the tee, man, too. My woman loves the long sleeves on me, I'll tell you that much. She loves those long sleeves on me, so I really appreciate the clothing, man. I love it. It's real good stuff. I only wear it for special occasions. But again, so back again, I want to say thank you to all my sponsors, Jamie from Unique Kennels, Doc Howard from Zionics, and who represents the DC Cure training mask, and thank you for all the supplies you've sent me. Bearcat Tactical, and just all of my supporters, everybody who's been there for me. Thank you so much for all your support. It's 12:30 here in Australia. Wow, you're in Australia, Adam? Damn. Thank you for staying up to watch this. I appreciate you, you know. But, yeah, hopefully Invicta can go international. That'd be really cool. So, again, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you. And all my sponsors and all my fans, thank you very much to all, you know, Team Lady Killer. You guys are my legion. You are the reason I keep on going. So, and again, thank you to Rob Hamill from Aardvark Painting up in the Tacoma area of Washington for sending me that sponsor money and helping me out. That actually was a really, really, really big help to me. So I appreciate that immensely. Before I go, I'd ask you all to maybe go either on my fan page or on my Twitter. I've shared a GoFundMe account for my coach, Derek Dirt Nap Bartlome. The guy's an anomaly. I love him to death. He's a two-time All-American wrestler. He's having his third pro boxing match Saturday in Vegas. I'm unaware if it's going to be aired live at all. I hope it is, and if so, I'll post a little information on where you can watch it. But he's kind of falling on some hard times right now. He's a single dad who, you know, he's got his gym and he trains people, but he's having some car issues. He's having a whole lot of problems right now. So we made a GoFundMe. We made a GoFundMe account. For him to try to get, you know, kind of ahead of things. He just needs a little bit of help. So if you guys could go check that out and maybe share it, I'd really, really appreciate that, because he's been a good coach to me. He's helping me a lot with this fight coming up, and he'll actually be in my corner and at the show for this fight. So again, thank you all for coming out, and again, thank you Tracy from Affliction Clothing for coming out and watching this. I'm actually really glad to see that you're tuning in right now, man. So, hope to really see you in Costa Mesa. Again, thank you all for coming out, and I'll see you next Friday. Thank you.